Welcome all the devotees. So we'll start with our reading of the Bhagavatam.
Prabhuji, we'll do Mangalacharan.
Yes, we'll do Mangalacharan. Let me just take out the Bhagavatam thing real quick. We did not do this time. We didn't even read the translation today.
Yes,
Translation.
Yeah, so let me just go back to the translation. So we can do the Mangalacharan and then we'll start.
Yeah.
Om
Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-jana-shilakaya Chakshur-militam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manohishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Bhati Sadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnava Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sarvana Raghunatham Sajivam Sadhvam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Krishna Padam Sahana Lalita Sri Sakanditamscha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantam Radhakantam Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhya Kripasindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadhu Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vachalam Pandum Lagayate
Hare Krishna. So read translation.
I'll start with the first one. Hare Krishna. More sweet than all other sweet things, more auspicious than all other auspicious things, the greatest purifier of all purifying things, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Hare Krishna.
I can read. The entire universe from exalted Brahma down to the lowly clump of grass is a product of the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. The only thing that is reality, again I say reality, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
Next. That person is a true preceptor or a true father, a true mother, and a true friend also, only if they teach one to always remember the holy name of Sri Hari is everything. I can read number 4.
There is no certainty when the last breath will come and put an abrupt halt to all one's material plans. Therefore, it is wise to always practice chanting from very childhood. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else want to read? Sushant Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Lord Hari eternally dwells in that place where truly exalted, spiritually advanced souls sing in the mood of pure devotion. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
Hare Krishna. So Neelu Mataji, want to read? 7.
Hare Krishna.
Auntie, you can read.
Okay. Oh, what a sorrow. What a great sorrow. More painful than any other misery in the world. Mistaking it as a mere piece of glass, the people have forgotten this jewel. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Hare Krishna.
Neelu Mataji, you can read 7.
Yes, Prabhuji. It should be heard again and again with one's ears. It should be uttered over and over with one's voice. It should be perpetually sung and sung anew. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Rakshita Mataji, you want to read 8?
It makes the entire universe seem insignificant as a blade of grass. It reigns supreme over all in a splendorous manner. It is full of eternally conscious divine ecstasy. It is supremely pure. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
Hare Krishna.
So there's a special thing about this song that we learned today, and that is, I think we have seen this before, but a new thing in this is all these things in the brackets. You all see that? 11, 39, 57, right? So that was not there earlier over here. And that is that we learned that this is actually part of a composition by, the name is not given, it's on KK songs, the name is given by whom this is sung.
Neelkanta Goswami.
Neelkanta Goswami. Okay. So that so there is a, this is actually part of 100 shloka. The whole thing is about 100 shlokas for the glorification of the holy name, and these are the ones that are mentioned here. These 8 are taken out from those 100. So that's the 11th verse of that 100, 39th verse of the 100, and so on. And they said in KK songs that they will be publishing the whole 100 part soon. So looking forward to that.
I've seen that before also.
Hari Bol. So it is actually not an Ashtakam, it is a Shataka. But here only 8 are there. Okay, so 5th chapter. Go back. 37. Which shloka do we have to do? This chapter is about to get over, I think.
37.
37 we'll be doing today, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva
Narottam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam Nashtaprayeshu Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhavati Naishiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopamara Vindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.37. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Tubhyam.
Vasudevaya Dhimahi.
Vasudevaya Dhimahi.
Vasudevaya Dhimahi.
Pradyumnaya Niruddhaya.
Pradyumnaya Niruddhaya.
Pradyumnaya Niruddhaya.
Nama Sankarshanaya Cha.
Namaha
Namaha
Sankarshanaya Cha.
Sankarshanaya Cha.
Hare Krishna. I can read the translation and purport. Translation: Let us all chant the glories of Vasudev along with his plenary expansions Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Sankarshan. Purport: According to the Pancharatra, Narayan is the primeval cause of all expansions of Godhead. These are Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Vasudeva and Sankarshan are on the middle, left and right. Pradyumna is on the right of Sankarshan and Aniruddha is on the left of Vasudeva. Okay, I'm just going to try to orient myself. So, so Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So Vasudev and Sankarshan are on the middle left and right. Left and right.
Middle left.
Okay. Pradyumna is on the right. Vasudev Sankarshan is on the right of Sankarshan. And Anirudh is on the left of Vasudev. Okay, got it. So middle
So
and then
AV, SP.
okay, this is good. All right. And thus the four deities are situated. They are known as the four aides the camp of Lord Shri Krishna. What does that mean? Aides the camp.
French word. No?
Look it up.
Prabhupada's books you will read, so then your vocabulary will improve.
Aides the camp. I just want to know. Army. Military officer acting as a confidential assistant to a senior officer.
They are known as the four aides, the camp of the Lord Krishna.
Camp assistant.
Yeah. This is a Vedic hymn or mantra beginning with Omkar, Pranav, and thus the mantra is established by the transcendental chanting process, namely Om Namo Dhimahi, etc. The purport is that any transaction, either in the field of fruitive work or in the empiric philosophy, which is not ultimately aimed at transcendental realization of the Supreme Lord, is considered to be useless. Narad Ji has therefore explained the nature of unalloyed devotional service by his personal experience in the development of intimacy between the Lord and the living entity by a gradual process of progressive devotional activities. Such a progressive march of transcendental devotion for the Lord culminates in the attainment of loving service of the Lord, which is called prema in different transcendental variegatedness called rasas or tastes. Such devotional service is also executed in mixed forms, namely mixed with fruitive work or empiric philosophical speculations. Now the question which was raised by the great rishis headed by Shaunak regarding the confidential part of Suta's achievement through the spiritual master is explained herein by the chanting of this hymn consisting of 33 letters. And this mantra is addressed to the four deities or the Lord with his plenary expansions. The central figure is Lord Shri Krishna because the plenary portions are his aides de camp. The most confidential part of the instruction is that one should always chant and remember the glories of Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his different plenary portions expanded as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These expansions are the original deities for all other truths, namely either Vishnu Tattva or Shakti Tattvas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Do you want to share?
Actually, this is very technical. I would say a lot of technical information is given here. First of all, Prabhupada is explaining who are these, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And by referring to the Pancharatra, I'm assuming that's the Pancharatra Vidhi. It's a book on deity worship, right?
Here's a Puran by the name of
Pancharatra Puran. Okay.
There is the
So,
Narad Pancharatra also. So I don't
we
know
don't
what
know which one.
is
Yeah.
being talked about.
So, so basically, this is a prayer to these deities. And in what context is this being spoken? Can anyone explain to me?
So let's recapitulate in this chapter what happened in the beginning. So Vedvyasa is just, he is dissatisfied. So he is thinking, oh my God, why am I dissatisfied? And then he approached his Guru Maharaj. So Narad Muni Vedas had already got the hint that maybe I did, something not not to the extent which I should. And he realized, oh, I haven't glorified the Lord enough. And that's what Narad Muni came and told, that you have given to the people the glories of the Lord, but the package is too much. Sometimes people say, oh, okay, give to other people in a nice way, in a good package. But in this, the package is too much and the content is too less. You have to give it properly, nicely, exclusively, and to the large extent, proportionately balanced way. So then he writes the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So Vedas realizes. So during that conversation, he's mentioning to him all these things. And here in the previous shloka also, we're discussing how he was talking about the Bhakti Yoga, and you're saying, right, Kriya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, and then you're saying performing duties according to the order of Shri Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. One constantly remembers him, his names and qualities. So when you're performing your duties, even in that, you can constantly remember and chant and dovetail your daily activities in Krishna service. And now he's saying about these plenary expansions of the Lord. Let us all chant the glories of Vasudev, along with this plenary expansions, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Sankarshana. So in that context, Prabhupada is writing about these four: Vasudev, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshan. So what was the order? Aniruddha, then
AVSP.
Aniruddha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna.
I was thinking about Vespa. This A is just ahead.
Yeah. So again, in one of the paragraphs in the purport, Prabhupada is talking about different types of devotional service. I think Nectar of Devotion describes like different, like at least 81 types of mixed devotional services, right? I think there's a different permutations and combinations mixed with fruitive work and empiric philosophical speculations. So eventually the goal is to attain the pure level service of Godhead, which is Brahma, but it can be present in all these different mixed philosophical speculations. I think that's it. I don't have, and the last paragraph is explaining just that, what we just discussed. This mantra is for the 4 deities, basically. A prayer to them. Invocation.
Okay. Anybody else would like to share any points from this?
Actually, I have one more point. A second. There's one shloka, actually. I can share it here in a second. It's glorifying the deity Madan Mohan. So these deities actually came from the Chaturvyuha, right? Do you remember the story? It was actually the original deities, the Pran Pratishtha deities of Madan Mohan ji, this one Gopinath ji and Govind Dev. They were actually given by, it was either Pradyumna, like the son of Pradyumna. So when I was just reading this section, I don't remember it, Ansh, but I read it in one of the books. in one of the Parikrama books, is the story is given of how they manifested themselves. So when I was reading this last paragraph, that the most confidential part of the instruction is that one should always chant and remember the glories of Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his different plenary portions, expanded as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These expansions are the original deities for all other truths, namely the Vishnu Tattvas or Shakti Tattvas. So in one of the Parikrama books, it's actually given, how these deities actually manifested. Radha Madan Mohan Ji, Gopinath Ji, and Govind Dev Ji. So maybe at a later point we can go over that.
Yes. How is those three deities associated with these four?
They are the original deities. So
That's
these
what we have
four.
to read.
So it's.
That's the story.
That's what we have to
We can continue. I'll go find it.
Okay. Anybody else would like to share anything?
So even the four Ram, Lakshman, they also come from one each.
Correct.
Which one is which? I don't know. Okay, from the four.
Vishnu was in our heart. That's the one who takes over of the time.
So the other interesting thing to, I think, look at as we are talking about, the context and what is going on. This is again the, remember that the whole scene of Bhagavatam, what is happening is, it is the Shaunak Rishi is asking questions to Sri Suta Goswami, and he's heading all the other priests who have gathered in the Naimisharanya. So one of the questions he had asked is that tell us about Supreme Truth and Supreme Lord and his forms and the intimate forms, his intimate forms. So here it is being mentioned as Lord Suta Goswami is narrating how Vyasdev came about talking about Bhagavatam or writing the Bhagavatam, and Lord and Vyasdev's conversation with Narad Muni. He's also Suta Goswami while narrating the conversation of Vyasdev and his spiritual master Narad Muni is answering the question that was asked to him, that was asked to Suta Goswami by Shaunak Rishi about the intimate pastimes and the forms of the Lord.
Different avatar. Describe to us about the different avatars.
Yeah. So here he's also in that, by reciting that conversation, he is explaining the answer to that question from Shaunak Rishi. Very Krishna.
So we'll go to the next shloka. Anybody wants to share anything else? Okay.
Yes, I can recite. Iti murti abhidhanena
Abhidhanena
mantra murtim amurtikam
mantramurti amurtikam
yajte yagya purusham
yajate yagya purusham
sa yagdarshanapuman
sasamya darshana puma.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thus, he is the actual seer who worships in the form of transcendental sound representation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who has no material form. Purport: our present senses are all made of material elements, and therefore they are imperfect in realizing the transcendental form of Lord Vishnu. He is therefore worshipped by sound representation via the transcendental method of chanting. Anything which is beyond the scope of experience by our imperfect senses can be realized fully by the sound representation. A person transmitting sound from a far distant place can be factually experienced. If this is materially possible, why not spiritually? This experience is not a vague, impersonal experience. It is actually an experience of the transcendental personality of Godhead, who possesses the pure form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. In the Amarkosha Sanskrit dictionary, the word murti carries import in twofold meanings, namely form and difficulty. Therefore, amurtikam is explained by Acharya Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as meaning without difficulty. The transcendental form of eternal bliss and knowledge can be experienced by our original spiritual senses, which can be revived by chanting of the holy mantras or transcendental sound representations. Such sound should be received from the transparent agency of the bona fide spiritual master, and the chanting may be practiced by the direction of the spiritual master. That will gradually lead us nearer to the Lord. This method of worship is recommended in the Panchratrika system, which is both recognized and authorized. The Panchratrika system has the most authorized codes for transcendental devotional service. Without the help of such codes, one cannot approach the Lord, certainly not by dry philosophical speculation. The Panchratrika system is both practical and suitable for this age of quarrel. The Panchratra is more important than the Vedanta for this modern age. Hare Krishna.
Pancharatrika Vidhi is basically.
Yes. So, in this shloka, the translation is basically saying that the actual seer, the one who has seen God, actual seer, is the one who worships using the transcendental sound representation of Krishna. So, and in purport, Prabhupada is elaborating about this transcendental sound representation, how they are so important in our Vedic literature and our experience of God through the transcendental sound medium. And Prabhupada is giving an example how even in material world, the sound waves are used to connect with people so far off. Like we talk to people by telephone or radio. This is nothing but sound waves. And actually in more modern context, like I'm doing ultrasounds every day, which is nothing but sound waves to see the baby inside a mother's womb. So sound waves can help us to connect with people far off that we are otherwise completely separated from, and we don't think they're impersonal. We never think that they don't have a shape or a form or qualities just because we can't see them. Because we have experienced them personally, so we always imagine their personal form when they're talking to us, when we're connecting with them. So a voice on the radio is not just a disconnected voice. That is a person who has a quality, who has some qualities, who has a story behind him, who has his relationships, emotions, so many things. So similarly, the transcendental sound can connect us to the spiritual absolute truth as well, which is full of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. And the sound waves are coming from him only. Krishna uttered the word Om and instilled the knowledge of Vedas in the heart of Brahma. So why can't we connect with these mantras to our supreme absolute truth? And then in the second paragraph, Prabhupada is further elaborating that these mantras are given by the bona fide spiritual master. And we know that there are mantras for different yugas, how there are different, how there was the 16-letter mantra, and now we have the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is 16 names of God in each mantra. So, and before they were given to, the master will give to his disciple one particular mantra at the time of initiation. And now the mantra has been given by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada to the whole world. So that is what Prabhupada is talking here. And then in the end, he's also mentioning the Panchratrika system, which like Anisha Mataji was saying, is the method of deity worship. And it is said that we have to do that proper, Vidhi Purvak. Panchratrika Vidim Vina Hari Bhakti Kalpateva Kalpate.
Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatriki Vidivana Ekantike Hari Bhakti Padaye Vapati.
So Prabhuji is reciting the shloka which says that according to the Shruti and Smriti and Panchratriki system, the Hari Bhakti should be done, and if it is done alone without any association, then it causes only disturbance, or utpat or disturbance. So we should follow this Panchratriki Vidhi when performing the deity worship. This is most practical, suitable method for this Kali Yuga. So that's what I understood. And I was reading elsewhere also how this transcendental sounds are very, very important part of our Vedic culture. And we receive knowledge through this. We get knowledge inside our heart through this. So that's why the chanting is so important. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, very nice. Thank you. Beautiful. That's so many nice points Devotee is sharing. Here, Prabhupada is mentioning about the different meanings of word murti. So word murti carries the import of twofold meanings. One is form, another is
difficult,
right? So form and difficulty. Now, if we don't have anyone to explain us, we may think a different meaning, right? We may totally understand different meaning. Here it said, therefore, amurtikam is explained by Acharya Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as meaning without difficulty. But somebody may say, oh, it's without form, amurtikam. So total meaning of the thing will change. Similarly, the word sadhu, sometimes the word sadhu means very good, right? Sadhu, right? It means very good. It doesn't mean na sadhu manye. What is that shloka? Na sadhu manye. Okay, so this is not very good. So we have to, that's why we have to accept the acharyas, the version of the acharyas, guru, sadhu, like this. And then Prabhupada is saying, such beautiful language Prabhupada uses, right? Sometimes we just overlook, we just read it, same things, but when you read Prabhupada books nicely, then after that, when you go out and hear from some other people here and there who have vague concept, vague ideas, vague philosophy, then what happens is you feel that like you are, like for example, there is a nice sweet rice, kheer you're eating. And then there is some kheer which you are eating which has a lot of sand in it, right? So every spoon you are taking for that kheer, you can understand there is some sweetness, but there is so much sand, you can't relish. So that's what happens when we hear someone who's non-bona fide or mixed or anything out of the pure devotional service. And when we are really reading Prabhupada's books, taking association, getting some guidance, then we can feel the difference. Otherwise, some people, who come new, they go one satsang, then another satsang, third satsang, and they come to ISKCON and say, "Wo bhi wahi keh rahe hain." They are also saying same thing which you are saying, no difference. So they can't understand what is the difference. And that is because the training is not there. Unless you don't have the training, you can't identify things. So that's why we are very, very grateful to Prabhupada. So what specific thing I was noticing here in this was the transcendental form of eternal blissful knowledge can be experienced by our original spiritual senses, which can be received by chanting the holy mantras or transcendental sound representations. Such sound should be received from the transparent agency of the bona fide spiritual master, and the chanting may be practiced by the direction of the spiritual master. So even for chanting, it is Prabhupada is saying transparent agency of bona fide spiritual master. That means bona fide spiritual master is transparent agency to give you what Krishna has to tell. That is the idea of spiritual master. Not someone who is blocking Krishna and saying, "Arey, Krishna, no, there's no Krishna, it's the same Nirakar," or something. So that is very nice. Now, one more point which I think everybody should note, and maybe we'll keep a look and eye to this in future sections. Here it says the Pancharatra is the more important than Vedanta for the modern age. So this particular point may need a little bit more elaboration. And one of the lectures Prabhupada mentioned when he went to New Vrindavan, that that devotional service, the path which we are following, has two lines. Like train has two tracks, right? Train, when you see the wheels, they are on two tracks. So both the tracks have to be in proper alignment and balance. So similarly, Prabhupada mentioned there are two tracks on which the train of bhakti can go. One is the Pancharatrika Vidhi and one is Bhagavad Dharma, right? Pancharatrika Vidhi means deity worship, the chanting of the mantras with the deities and everything. Bhagavad Dharma means reading and studying of the Bhagavatam and learning and getting trained in this science. And Prabhupada mentions out of these two, the Bhagavad Dharma is actually more important. So if we are actually studying deeply the science, then we'll be able to understand. But that doesn't mean Pancharatra is less important, because that is also very important. So therefore, deity worship in the most basic sense means having photo in the house where we very, very diligently and nicely, sincerely train ourselves to understand that Krishna is non-different than his holy name, pastimes, paraphernalia, everything. So Krishna is practically there in the photo. If we actually give it proper respect, care, attention, and worship, then he will be happy to accept it. So that is the most basic way. There were so many rules and regulations, and Prabhupada actually gave us a very simple way and process, so we can discuss that when we are discussing specifically deity worship. But that is the most basic thing, that offer to Krishna, arti, all the bhogas, whatever you eat, cook, just offer it to Krishna. So that's the most basic way of deity worship. And then reading regularly the Bhagavatam. Okay, anybody else would like to share anything? I think Anantishwari wanted to share something. She brought something to share with everybody, but I think she's not here. So we'll go to the next shloka. Who would like to read the Sanskrit here? Everybody can hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, Mataji. Emam swanigmam nigmam brahman
Imam
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 Brahma
Swanigmam Brahmam
avetya anushtitam
Avedya
Avetya
Avidya
Manustitam
Mad Anustish. Sorry.
adan me jnanam aishwaryam
Adan
Adamne Jnanam Aishwaryam
Adan mi jnanam aishwaryam
swasmin bhavam cha keshava
Swasme
Swasmin Bhavam Cha
Swasmin
Keshava.
bhavam cha Keshava.
Hare Krishna. Any volunteers for reading the translation and purport?
I can read Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. O Brahmana, thus by the Supreme Lord Krishna, I was endowed first with the transcendental knowledge of the Lord as in, inculcated in the confidential parts of the Vedas, then with the spiritual opulences, and then with his intimate loving service. Purport: communion with the Lord by transmission of the transcendental sound is non different from the whole spirit Lord Sri Krishna. It is completely perfect method for approaching the Lord by such pure contact with the Lord without offense of material conception. Numbering 10. The devotee can rise above the material plane to understand the inner meaning of the Vedic literatures, including Lord's existence in the transcendental realm. The Lord reveals his identity gradually to one who has unflinching faith both in the spiritual master and in the Lord. After this, the devotee is endowed with mystic opulences, which are 8 in number. And above all, the devotee is accepted in the confidential entourage of the Lord and entrusted with specific service of the Lord through the agency of the spiritual master. A pure devotee is more interested in serving the Lord than in showing an exhibition of the mystic powers dormant in him. Sri Narada has explained all this from his personal experience, and one can obtain all facilities which Sri Narada obtained by perfecting the chanting process of the sound representation of the Lord. There is no bar for chanting this transcendental sound by anyone, provided it is received through Narada representatives, coming down by the chain of disciplic succession or parampara system. Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna Prabhuji, do you want to share something?
Prabhuji, generally when I read, I cannot focus on the
Cannot
all.
focus.
Yeah, so I generally note and then I can say. So,
Okay, so you can note. In the meantime, we'll see if anybody else would like to share.
yes.
Anything anybody else would like to share?
Prabhuji, what are these numbers mentioned? Is that number 10 is this, numbering 10, and then number 8. So, what is this, Prabhuji? Like
Offenses, I think.
mystic opulences, which are 8 in number, and without offense of material conception, numbering 10.
Yeah.
Is there any list of this,
Yeah.
Prabhuji?
Let's read it again and then we'll discuss. So translation is, O Brahman, thus by the Supreme Lord Krishna, I was endowed first with the transcendental knowledge of the Lord as inculcated in the confidential parts of the Vedas, then with the spiritual opulences, and then with his intimate loving service. So first the confidential parts of the Vedas, he was able to learn those, right? And then spiritual opulences, and then he was able to have the loving service, intimate service for the Lord. So in the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning communion with the Lord by transmission of transcendental sound is non-different from the whole spirit, Lord Shri Krishna. Basically, the name and Krishna are non-different, right? Krishna and his holy name are non-different. It is a completely perfect method of approaching the Lord by such pure contact with the Lord without offense of material conceptions. So that means 10 offenses we have to avoid, right? So just avoid the 10 offenses, follow the chanting of the holy name. The devotee can rise above the material plane to understand the inner meaning of the Vedic literatures, including the Lord's existence in the transcendental realm. So all these things one can understand. He can get above the material plane to the spiritual and transcendental plane. The Lord reveals his identity gradually to one who has unflinching faith both in spiritual master and Lord, which is this shloka. I just shaded. Ah. We have discussed this shloka before. It's not from Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. I showed you this shloka the other day when you were in conference with Prabhuji. Jaydev Prabhu. So anybody can remember? No, as unflinching faith, both in the spiritual master and Lord. Actually, now I also forgot. If somebody tells me first word, I can remember. Yatha Deve Tatha Gurau. You remember? Yatha Deve Tatha Gurau. Tatha Tatha Prakashante Mahatmana. If you Google it, Prakashante Mahatmana, it will show up.
7.15.28.
What is it? First word?
Prabhuji, it is Yasya Deve Parabhakti
Yasya Deve
Yatha Deve Tatha Guru.
Deve Tatha Gurau. Tasya Kasita Hitartham Prakash.
Artha Mantra. Hanji.
Which one is the shloka? Is the seventh? Must be within the purport. Must be within the purport. No.
Yes, Prabhuji, somewhere. Prabhu.
Deve.
Okay.
Prakashanti Mahatmana. This is not Bhagavatam.
I know. I said it's not from Bhagavad Gita.
नहीं Bhagavatam भी नहीं है.
I know. It's from some Vedic.
SU.
Sveteshwara Upanishad. Yasya Deve Parabhakte Yatha Deve Tatha Gurau Tasyaiti Kathita Yartha Prakashanti Mahatmana. So what is the translation? Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both Lord and spiritual master all the imports of the Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. So see, this is what is the importance of reading Prabhupada's purport, because they actually are shlokas from different places given in the purport itself. And that is the duty of the Guru, to give the knowledge not based upon his opinion but from the Shastras. Okay. After this, the devotee is endowed with mystic opulences which are 8 in number. Ashta Siddhi, you must be remembering in Hanuman Chalisa they say, right?
Ashta Siddhi no nidhi ke data asavaradena janati mata.
So that Ashta Siddhi, these are the 8 mystic opulences actually. So nectar of devotion has. I mean, anima, lagima, praptir, like this. And above all, the devotee is accepted in the confidential entourage of the Lord and is entrusted with specific service of the Lord through the agency of spiritual master. A pure devotee is more interested in serving Lord than in showing the exhibition of the mystic powers dominant in him. So a lot of devotees actually you see in the life of Srila Prabhupada or even in the life of other devotees, we see sometimes they say something or do something and miracles happen. But Prabhupada is showing that that is not really the interest of a devotee to show miracles. No. That Krishna anyways take care of. But what is the focus? He's more interested in serving the Lord. Shri Narad has explained all these from his personal experience, and one can obtain all the facilities which Shri Narad obtained by perfecting the chanting process of the sound representation of the Lord. There is no bar for this chanting, this transcendental sound by anyone, provided it is received through Narad's representative coming down by the chain of disciplic succession or the parampara system. So it has to be somebody who's coming from the parampara system, get the mantra and then chant. That's why Prabhupada is in parampara system. We are all getting it. We should utilize and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Hare.
Very, very important. So let's pray for all the people who are suffering all over. We'll chant loudly Hare Krishna Mahamantra 11 times. All of us together. Very, very loudly.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Hare.
Ram, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare. Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare, Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram, Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Ram Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare.
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram, Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram.
Ram,
Yes,
Hare
my
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
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 Rama,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare
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 Hare.
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram, Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
A lot of suffering. People are suffering every day. Some or the other news is coming that this person got, this person got. Very, very important. We all know we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. But very important to perfect this human life for us and for. And when you pray for everybody, they get benefit of it. And like Amog Leela Prabhu was telling in his lecture, that we must remember that karma is so powerful, the consequences will show up sooner or later. But bhakti is so powerful, it burns all the karma. So that is what we have to do. We have to Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham. Tivra, very, very serious, intense devotional service. If we do, then we get benefit, others get benefit. All right. Anybody else would like to share any points? Otherwise, we have crossed 9 o'clock. And tomorrow we'll have our program. So all the devotees here will be able to join for the morning program.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, great. So we'll be looking forward to having everyone's association tomorrow. We'll end it here. Thank you so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya
Subhayeva च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.
Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.